As the new year dawned in 1863, the Civil War raged on with no sign of resolution. The Union and Confederate forces had suffered heavy losses in the previous year, and both sides knew that the coming months would be decisive. One of the most significant battles of the Western theater was about to unfold in Tennessee, a battle that would test the resolve of both armies and set the stage for future campaigns. The Battle of Stones River, fought between December 31st, 1862, and January 2nd, 1863, was one of the bloodiest engagements of the war and a critical moment in determining the fate of the Union in the Western theater. It was a battle that brought immense suffering to the soldiers involved and deepened the war's brutal realities for both North and South. By late 1862, Union forces under Major General William S. Rosecrans were positioned in Nashville, Tennessee, while Confederate forces under General Braxton Bragg held Murfreesboro, a crucial supply hub for the Confederacy. Rosecrans, leading the Army of the Cumberland, was under pressure from President Abraham Lincoln and Union High Command to advance and secure Middle Tennessee, thereby cutting off Confederate supply lines and dealing a significant blow to Southern operations in the region. Bragg, leading the Army of Tennessee, saw an opportunity to strike before the Union could consolidate its forces. He hoped that by launching a preemptive attack, he could drive the Union Army out of Tennessee and secure a much-needed Confederate victory to boost morale following their withdrawal from Kentucky after the Battle of Perryville. Murfreesboro was a vital stronghold for the South, providing access to important railroads and supply lines that kept the Confederate war effort in the region alive. On December 31st, 1862, as Union troops prepared to advance, Bragg struck first. The Confederate forces launched a ferocious dawn assault on the Union right flank, catching Rosecrans' army off guard. The Union lines were thrown into disarray as Confederate troops under General William J. Hardee surged forward, pushing the Federals back several miles in a matter of hours. Bragg's forces used the cover of dawn and the element of surprise to carve through Union positions with deadly efficiency. The Union right flank crumbled, and only a desperate stand at the Slaughter Pen, a rocky outcropping where Union troops made a last-ditch defense, prevented a total rout. The terrain provided a natural defensive position, allowing Union forces to slow the Confederate advance and buy time for reinforcements to arrive. Meanwhile, Rosecrans scrambled to stabilize his position, ordering reinforcements to prevent a complete collapse. The Confederates pressed their advantage, but Union resistance stiffened as the day progressed. Fighting raged throughout the fields and forests surrounding Stones River, with neither side willing to cede the contested ground. After the intense fighting of December 31st, both armies spent New Year's Day regrouping. The battlefield was littered with thousands of wounded and dead, and neither side was eager to launch another direct assault. The air was thick with the stench of blood and gunpowder, and the moans of the wounded echoed across the landscape. Soldiers on both sides huddled in their positions, wary of what the next day would bring. However, Rosecrans used this brief pause to his advantage. He reinforced his left flank, recognizing that Bragg might attempt to press his attack the following day. He also moved his artillery into stronger positions, preparing for a renewed engagement. The Union command knew that withdrawing was not an option, as losing Middle Tennessee would significantly damage the Union's control over the region. On January 2nd, 1863, Bragg made a crucial mistake. Believing that Rosecrans might be preparing to retreat, he ordered an attack on the Union left. Confederate troops charged across Stones River in a determined assault, but were met with devastating Union artillery fire. Union batteries, placed on high ground, unleashed a relentless barrage that decimated the advancing Confederates, causing immense casualties and forcing a retreat. The riverbanks became a scene of slaughter as Confederate forces struggled to maintain cohesion under the punishing bombardment. Recognizing that his offensive had failed and that his army was in danger of being encircled, Bragg decided to withdraw from the field on January 3rd, ceding Murfreesboro to the Union. His decision, while necessary, sparked outrage among his officers, who had hoped to achieve a decisive victory in Tennessee. The Confederate withdrawal marked the end of one of the war's most ferocious battles in the Western theater. The Battle of Stones River was among the deadliest battles of the war. The Union suffered approximately 13,000 casualties, while Confederate losses numbered around 10,000. The total devastation left entire regiments shattered, and hospitals were overwhelmed with the wounded. Civilians in Murfreesboro were left to deal with the horrific aftermath, as bodies and broken equipment littered the fields. While the battle was technically inconclusive, with no clear victor, it was a strategic success for the Union. The Confederates had been forced to retreat, and the Union had secured a crucial stronghold in Tennessee. More importantly, it provided a much-needed morale boost for the North following the disaster at Fredericksburg just weeks earlier. President Lincoln, aware of the psychological impact of the victory, later wrote that the Stones River battle had done much to sustain Northern confidence in the war effort. The battle also ensured that Middle Tennessee remained under Union control, paving the way for future advances toward Chattanooga and, eventually, Atlanta. For the Confederacy, Stones River was another setback in a string of disappointments in the Western theater. Bragg faced harsh criticism from both his officers and President Jefferson Davis, with many questioning his leadership and decision-making. The Confederate withdrawal marked another step in the gradual erosion of Southern control in the West. The failure to secure Tennessee further weakened the South's ability to hold the Mississippi Valley and contributed to the eventual Union success in the region. The Battle of Stones River demonstrated the resilience of Union forces and the growing strength of their strategic position in the Western theater. It also underscored the brutal nature of Civil War combat, where battles often resulted in heavy casualties with no immediate, decisive outcome. The courage and sacrifice of the soldiers on both sides cemented Stones River as one of the war's defining engagements. For the soldiers who fought there, the battle was a harrowing experience. Letters and diaries from the men who survived tell of the horrors of combat, the pain of watching friends die, and the desperation of battle in freezing winter conditions. Many of the wounded lay in the field for days before receiving medical attention, suffering in agony from their injuries. Stones River was a reminder that the war was far from over and that each battle brought with it an ever-increasing toll on human life. As the war continued, the impact of Stones River rippled through both the Union and Confederate ranks. The Union's ability to hold the region bolstered its strategic position in the West, while the Confederacy faced growing internal divisions over its leadership and war strategy. In the next episode, we will turn to the Battle of Chancellorsville, where Confederate General Robert E. Lee would achieve one of his most remarkable victories, even as the war continued to exact a heavy toll on both armies.